Раз, два, три.
Dear viewers, welcome to our Studio 95. I'm Альбина and my program Talk on the Sofa. Today we are meeting with the head of prognostication and planning department, Veronika. Well, we have ventilated the studio, took all the precautions, and now we're waiting for our guest, and here she is. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm glad to see you in our studio.
Thanks a million for inviting me. Oh, wait a sec. I'll take off the mask and the gloves, and I'll have to sanitize my hands.
Oh, certainly. It's our new reality we are faced that makes us stick to the new behavior rules and habits. So let's get back to our conversation. Veronica, we would like to hear a few words about the current situation and the changes that we see in Russia as well as in the whole world.
Yeah, sure. Once again, welcome to the audience. And first of all, I'd like to point out that the way our broadcast has started is actually the major change in our daily life and communication process, of course. Almost all of us, except essential care workers, are self-isolated. Fortunately, neither me nor Альбина haven't been on the quarantine. That is why we have got an opportunity to discuss the urgent problems. Moreover, we are going to take all the medical precautions during the coronavirus pandemic. We follow all the hygiene regulations, regular ventilation of the premises, and keep social distance of 1.5 meters. These regulations differ depending on the country or regions, but they have been introduced everywhere. For instance, my friends in Austria are allowed to go for walks, but only alone. Meanwhile, in Germany, you can go out with your close relatives and even stroll in the parks. Russian quarantine terms are rather strict so far. Despite the federal law indicated in the decree by 26th of March 2020, every region and its authorities make their own decision according to the situation. Really tough measures concern the people breaking the rules of the quarantine, namely the ones who have to be at home for 14 days after having visited foreign countries aged more than 65 and having chronic conditions.
All right, thank you. We will call the people to observe the regulations of self-isolation and not to break the quarantine. However, let's discuss geopolitical aspects of the situation. Will you probably give a prognosis for the forthcoming developments?
Certainly, we'll talk about it. Although making a long cast ahead is quite a month's game. Self-isolation became a worldwide phenomenon, as not only people are confined in their apartments, but so are the countries that closed the borders. People don't have the opportunity to travel. I would call it the Iron Curtain of the 21st century, in comparison with the one that existed in the former USSR. Probably the former political allies will lose their defining role, and each of the parties will have to protect their own interests. As it happened after World War II, the major political leaders and forces will be shifted. To my mind, there will be mild transition from globalization to the post-global world. It's rather similar to the history of the Roman and British empires, when after the huge powers had been ruling for centuries, they split up and got back to the local communities. That is why the world with its global market and multinational corporations can get back to the earliest epochs of the civilization, like they were in Sparta with its restricted way of life within the city limits, or Athens with their natural farming and economy.
Sure, I would definitely agree with you. For the European Union, the situation seems catastrophic. Obviously, not only the political sphere of interaction will suffer, but also the economy will be seriously undermined.
I totally agree that economic sphere suffered a devastating blow. Not only the companies but the whole countries will go bankrupt and will have to announce default. Small businesses like airlines, tour agencies, hotels, theaters, cinemas, and service industry won't get any profit at all. All the bankrupt enterprises will be bought cheaply, and as a result, we will see the new owners of the old brands. I reckon there will be a great redistribution of industrial assets. The most losses will bear small private businesses and employed people, namely taxpayers. As a consequence, the quality of life will drop drastically.
What concerns Russia? What measures can be taken by the government in order to overcome the crisis?
In my arrogant opinion, first of all, the government should take the measures to support small and medium businesses that are on the verge of extinction. Thus, the tax rent credit break for a few months ought to be applied. The decisions about bankruptcies shouldn't be made. I think it will save our small and medium businesses.
There is an enormous fear that lots of people will become unemployed. What do you think about it?
By all means, such fears and doubts are not groundless. Thus, the companies won't work for a month. As a consequence, there will not be financial inflow or any chance to pay salaries and wages. Some of the companies still expect and rely on state financial support. We hope that appropriate measures will be taken, and just in time, as it was done in 1771 by Duke Orlov in Moscow during the plague outbreak.
Why has the hardest epidemiological situation developed in Moscow?
Moscow is the metropolis, as we know, and the biggest city in Russia. It's the capital of our country, and it outnumbers tourists, visitors, and immigrants. And some of them do not have health insurance. The dwellers of Moscow have most opportunities to travel abroad. In my view, that is the major reason of such a great number of infected people in Moscow.
And getting back to the economic problems of modern society, I would like to ask you about the interrelation of them with the social life of people.
We have witnessed that one sphere suffered most of all, and it was healthcare. It's obvious that the majority of countries didn't provide enough expenses for its development. Moreover, I'd like to say about the breakthrough in the biological investigations. I really believe that the government will provide businesses with budget resources, probably to the ones that can't convert their production to the essential items. What is actually vital and essential to a human being? Is it only food and medication? I suppose that one of the vulnerable spheres not mentioned above is culture. The cultural institutions are in the complicated situation because the museums, art galleries and theatres closed for a month or at least two. All the people involved, all the cast of the theatres and the guides will inevitably lose their job. Despite digital excursions and reading fairy tales by actors, you cannot teach how to play piano or act online. Nothing will substitute to the real face-to-face conversation and education.
Actually, I would like to mention the last issue that concerns the relationship between people during these hard times.
I would like to highlight numerous charity and volunteer organizations. There are a lot of people who help others, check on neighbors and the elderly people. We should treat each other with kindness and tolerance. I believe that when the situation ends or resolves, we will see how the world has changed and will start smiling and hugging again.
To sum up, I would like to thank our guest and the audience. I hope we will succeed and better days will return. Bye for now. I send good wishes to you all. Take care of yourself and your loved ones.
Thank you too. Stay at home and we will meet again.